Hello everybody, welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series here for Season 6, Round 7 here at San Marino. It is Throwback Week, we all love Throwback Week. I'm your commentator Owen White, with me is Jacko, and well, Spanish Grand Prix last week, it was a big hit. Imola last season was a big hit. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, hello everyone. These new tracks seem to be quite good. The game keeps adding. Even Portimao, when it's on the calendar, does its job, doesn't it? So hopefully another good race, Owen. But we returned to San Marino, second time it's been Throwback Week here, and it was raining last season. Iceman won, and what will happen this year?
Well, I'm hoping we get a dry race, actually. Give it a chance to give us some proper racing, because we lacked the DRS, and that was a slight issue for last year, but it didn't cause too many issues, mainly at the end of the race, because we had, 3-4 way fight for the lead, and it was all mad. And so I'm hoping if we get something like that this season, we'll be in for a proper classic in the dry. So, if you don't know how Throwback Week works, or you don't know what Throwback Week is, this is basically the driver's chance to flex their livery skills, really, and to show off their nerdiness. We'll have classic liveries from any form of motorsport, really. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to deciding which one the best is. I believe Jacko will do a poll to decide who has the best one. But yeah, just a wee bit of fun. We like doing this every season. Always happens in Italy. Used to be at Monza, but now obviously happening at Imola.
Technicality there for you. San Marino is a principality of its own recognised state, so
I say that,
not Italy.
You know,
yeah.
I just think we should just accept that it's in.
Well, it's not, is it?
Well,
but
it isn't really. But
to come back to your point about best liveries, Michael O'Kk, the Kia Series admin, he picked Michael O'Sullivan's Force India livery as his favourite. And Gareth Hall, commentator in the Kia Series, picked mine, which was a Tony Stewart livery. So you and I, Owen, we have to pick our favourites from tonight, and then the four of those, the two from each tier, will go into a poll, and then we'll choose our favourite livery the people will choose their favourite livery of the Throwback Week. First time, actually, that Throwback Week has not been held at the same track between the two tiers, as Kia Series went to Zandvoort, and we are back at San Marino. But either way, it was a very colourful grid on Tuesday night. Maybe it will be the same here tonight as Tez leaves the garage in a 1971 Porsche Le Mans car, a 917K, I believe this is. What do we think, Owen?
Well, I would like to see an off-board shot of it, but on-board it looks relatively nice. If you can ever actually get out of the pits, so we'll have a proper wee look at it. And yes, this is a hit with me straight away. I am a fan. Very nice. I like it. I actually quite like the fact. Maybe has he done it on purpose? The lack of sponsors, but I don't know. I just like the colour scheme in general. Doesn't really need anything else. It's quite nice.
Yeah, we do tend to get a golf livery, at least one every season, don't we? So
yeah,
Tez keeping that streak going for us. Tez, by the way, we actually spoke about him before the stream got going, and 10 JACKOCAR starts in the Cup Series, one finish where he was 11th. Then he had a disqualification and then 8 DNFs. So he sits 20th and last. Somebody actually below Corey Dalton, who we'll see very shortly. But they're both on 0 points. However, speaking of Corey, he has asked us to be encouraging this week, as it says it makes him go faster. But we'll see in a few minutes' time. As
does he know who he's talking to? Does he know who he's talking to?
All I'll say is welcome to JACKOCAR. Owen White, take us for a lap around Imola.
Here we go then, on board with Tees, out of the final corner, very long run down towards the Tamburello chicane. He's taking the wide line through the sort of kink at the start of the straight to try and get into as much straight line speed as possible. And I'm wondering how these lines are going to vary actually throughout the day as we head through into Tamburello. These curbs are very difficult to ride consistently. I wonder how many drivers are going to just take it easy, just like Tees is doing. That was about as calm as you could ever expect it to go as we head through Villeneuve. Now this is a nightmare if you're on a pad, so I hope these guys are on wheels tonight, because that Villeneuve chicane I can never get through on the pad. Into Tosa, all looks relatively good through there. Tees just keeping it on the island, because as much as we're potentially encouraging Corey, I'm actually encouraging Tees around here as he goes a little bit wide at Lando Norris corner. and through into the Variante Alza chicane, or Aquamina Rally, sorry. Variante Alza is the next one up. The traction zone on the exit there was also quite difficult, but he's making it through relatively well. This is one of the only corners on the whole game where you can properly attack the curves, but he's gone too much onto them, so he's going to have an invalid lap time. But of course, you want to get to the line anyway, just in case the two drivers behind him doesn't get a lap in, and so it means he obviously sets on the record as well. But it will unfortunately be the back of the grid for Tees as he heads around the last corner. We'll get a benchmark time anyway, and it will be a 1 minute 16.915. I imagine that'll be beaten by plenty anyway, but yeah, shame to see that not go on the board.
Yeah, Tez, as ever, his bad luck continues. But what about this then? Corey Dalton, he might have 0 points, Owen, but I think this is a contender for one of the best liveries this season. Ooh. It's the 1994 Senna Rothmans Williams. Of course, sadly, the car that Ayrton Senna passed away in at this track. But Corey honouring the late Ayrton tonight in this is a lovely scheme. He's got the colours near on perfect, doesn't he? A bit of gold in there. Very nice. I
love the wee bit of gold in there. Very nicely done. And the helmet as well to go with it.
The helmet, yeah, that's really good.
All coming together, as is the lap. All valid at the moment. And I tell you what, the onboard shot for this one looks terrific as well. So Corey, yeah, definitely done a very nice job here with this. And the lap looks like it's going to be valid. And yeah, let's see. It's actually going to be not all that much quicker than T's lap time, so we know T's isn't necessarily the quickest driver out there, so maybe Corey would have been looking to be a little bit quicker than just 2/10 ahead, but it is P1 for now regardless, as we move on to see how Risky is getting on. Now, he's invalidated, but doesn't mean we can't talk about his car, if I can find him on the list, that is, of course. He's in the Lotus Camel 99T. Another sort of Senna colour scheme, this, isn't it? I believe he ran this one.
He did run this one last season as well. He said the people loved it, so he's brought it back, and I can see why. I mean, it's very yellow, but it's very good as well. It's a shame he's invalidated. I hope it's not a theme that we're going to get throughout the evening. Drivers invalidating during qualifying. Has a moment there, keeps it on the road just about, and will complete his lap as per the rules. Up next, Owen, is not Thomas Nevitt because he couldn't get into the session. So we'll move to tonight's Joker in Leroy Hasliger.
Yes, and we're going to see a little bit more of his lap than he was expecting. Now, he is out here in the 2007 Spiker, a very unsuccessful car in real life, but a looker. It's quite difficult to replicate the colour scheme for this thing because it was a very, very bright orange. I don't think the F1 game will let you get there. So for what he's been able to do with it, I'd say he's done a decent job. And, well, on the Joker tonight, he has got a big job on his hands because the only one out there, we know the Joker can work on a good day. And he's had good performances this season. I still think about Silverstone a couple of weeks ago where he came from the gravel at turn 1 to finishing right up there at the front. So we know he's capable of it. And
don't forget as well, I think he had his debut in the Cup Series here last season. Also a throwback week, and I believe he got on the podium then, P3.
Yeah, so he knows how to get on the podium, and with the Joker and a season's experience, this could be his big night as he knocks down the bollard on the way to the finish line. He goes P1 then, the second time on the board, and the fastest one on the board. Now, MK Bourne is up next, and he is running in a 2016 Audi R18 LMP1 hybrid.
This, by the way, is actually Conor Byers' scheme, but of course he's having his ban this week, so Mike has kindly offered to run it for Conor, although I do believe Conor will run this later in the season. Just quickly touching back on Leroy, the bollard he hit is very important tonight because that is the start of the restart zone, and also you've got to be to the right of it for it to be a committed pit stop. But around the final corner comes Mike and puts the power down. DRS open, no bollard to hit because Leroy's already done it. And up to the line, it's P2 ahead of Corey.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing this livery. Unfortunately, it's going to be running round with an invalidated lap time, but this is the Husky Chocolate number 8. Well, it isn't number 8, but it's meant to be the number 8 of Marcus Ericsson's that won this year's Indianapolis 500. Pete looking for that little bit of success tonight. He's going to have to do it, though, from the back of the grid based on his qualifying lap time, which will not count.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's actually done quite a good job.
He's done a really good job.
It's red and white, but he's done it really well.
He's got the sponsors nailed on. That's the thing that's catching me. That Xenon Dynamics on the side, really nicely done.
The only thing I will say is, how weird is it to see Pete in an all-red car? Like, that's very unusual.
That is a good point, actually. That is a weird one to look at. One that isn't all that weird to look at. In fact, I bet all of you saw this coming. It's Yuri in Alexander Rossi's colours. Unfortunately, it's also invalidated, but it is another Indianapolis 500 winning livery. The 2016 Indy 500, he won that one as a rookie, of course, did Alexander Rossi, so a very special livery this. But unfortunately, this is going to be another lap time that doesn't count. We're seeing this a lot this season. I feel like we're seeing it more this season than we have in previous seasons. The car is obviously a little bit harder to drive on this new game. But yeah, these lot are really struggling out there.
I think drivers pushing a little bit harder as well. That one of Yuri's, by the way, is a throwback not only to Alex Rossi, but a throwback to Yuri himself from season 1 when he used to run blue and yellow. Next up, Jess Gamer. She ran on Tuesday night in this livery. It's supposed to be the 1995 Subaru Impreza WRX when Colin McRae was driving it. Actually, I think 95 was when he won it in the Ford, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, please, but it's the Impreza, the 555 Subaru with the stars on, and I wonder what Jess can do with it. As ever, improving as she goes, getting so much better on this game is Jess.
And as she comes up to the line, it's not going to be the fastest time out there. It's 1.2 off, but it is a valid lap time, so which we haven't seen too much of today so far. Now, Ben, he is running in the 2019 Renault RS19 livery, run by Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg in F1, and he's done quite a good job of this one. I think, actually, I was mucking about earlier on in the week making liveries just in case I were doing a throwback week. You know, what would I make? And the Renault is one that is very good for this particular livery contest, so I'm glad someone's actually taken that option up, and it looks quite nice. I'm a fan of it.
And much like Pete as well, it's simple, but he's done a really good job of it with those sponsors. In real life, I believe this car got 2 podiums. I know Hülkenberg certainly didn't get a podium, but I think Ricciardo took it to the podium in Germany and somewhere else.
Would have been Imola, but that would have been 2020. Although they were practically the same livery, weren't they? So we can claim it's a 2020 livery as well. As Ben goes for fastest then. So that's already 10 drivers done and only 5 lap times done by them. Now, next up, we're going to have Robin, otherwise known as Rage Man. And he is in, if I can find his name, in 1992, Andrea Moda. Well, why is he doing that then? That's pretty much guaranteeing he's not going to be doing anything tonight. He might as well not show up if he's doing that. One of the, if not the very worst teams in F1 history. And, well, let's see if he can put it into a decent position as he comes out of the final corner. I've got to say, it looks fantastic. The blacked out livery looking very good.
Lap as well. It's a really good lap.
It is a really good lap. P2 right up there with Leroy. In fact, I tell you what, those top 4 very close indeed. And next up we're going to have Michael O'Keke.
You will like this one, Owen. This is good.
Oh,
what a moment. Michael O'Keke keeps it on the track just about in his 1999 McLaren Mercedes MP414.
Is he
driven
wise?
By Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard. He is wise. It's a World Championship winning car.
But it is a car that Mika Hakkinen, I think Mika Hakkinen binned this car here. So he wants to be careful.
Oh, another moment. He's pushing, isn't he? Will it be pole though? To O'Keke to the line. Owen Wyatt. It's not good enough. It's only 6th. Oh, what a shame.
But you know what? Most entertaining lap of the day so far. So we'll give him that. We'll give him that
for sure.
As we watch Jordan then out there, and he is running a Jordan livery. It's not any specific one, it's just a Jordan livery. Not that really surprises anyone, because what else realistically was he going to run? But will it be a 99 or a 98 Jordan? He goes P5, not too bad.
He should have put a little white sponsor on the black there to make it look a bit more Benson and Hedges. It would have been really good. But anyway, moving on to a modern rendition of the old Saudi Williams then, driven by Deck Acorn. Welcome back to JACKOCAR to Deck. Back in the 71, of course, you may remember from Australia last season. He won't want to remember, as he also invalidates his lap time.
We'll never let him forget about that, will we? He should have been a race winner last season. It never quite happened. Although, to be fair to him, though, he still drove a good run that day, and we know he's got the potential for it. One day it'll happen.
Yeah, it's good to have him back. I think he saw there was a gap going tonight, and he was free on this one-off occasion, so more than happy to have a driver like Deck back in the league.
Nice.
Next is Gareth, and we are looking for this. We'll see the end of Deck's lap. He's gone very slow, actually.
Yeah, I've given up on that one. I want to see the end of Gareth's lap, because he is in the BAR F1 006, or is that 004, or whatever it's meant to be. It's a 2004 BAR Honda, which Jenson Button took his first ever pole position in at this very track. And I've got to say, he's done quite a nice job of it. I am a fan of this. But will it put Gareth up towards the front of the grid? We've seen him put up some very good performances this season so far. And he's got that 1 minute 16.5 to beat. He'll get not that close to it, unfortunately, 6/10 off. And Leroy, on his Joker then, he's still holding on very nicely. There are only 5 drivers left to go. First one being Redmat, who is in the 2014 Caterham, one of my favourite liveries in F1 ever. It's so simple. As you can see, he's just stuck the British Racing Green on there and he's gone for it. And the wee flashes of black on there as well. Very nice indeed. But will it have the pace that car never ever managed to achieve? Let's find out.
If he puts it all together, this will be your new pole lap, because you know what Red Matt's like at securing poles in JACKOCAR. He is one of the best at it. And of course, I think as well, a little touch for Throwback Week, is that a Marcus Ericsson helmet from back in the day?
Yes, it is.
Up to the line then.
Oh, it's not even that close.
From York, it's going to be a new P1, 6/10 clear of Leroy, with 4 drivers to go.
And, well, we've seen one Honda, we're now seeing another Honda, and I have to say, I love this. I love a bit of this. This is the 2007 Honda Earth Dreams racing car. We love this. It's one of the most love it or hate it liveries in F1 history, and as you might be able to tell by my enthusiasm, this is one that I absolutely love. He's even got the colours. Well, I suppose that could work for Jenson Button or Rubens Barrichello, those colours.
Yeah.
So he's got the right colours for the helmet. This is something I'm a big fan of, but will it be up at the front of the grid? Let's wait and see. He has a win this season from Silverstone, so we know he's got the pace. He's got a 1 minute 15.9 to beat. It's going to be close, but he doesn't quite manage it. Not 0.04 off the pace. This is starting to get very interesting indeed.
It would have been a first career pole for Jamie Griffiths, but not to be, as we move to Jamie Wright, then two-time champion. Through he comes, and this is it's a generic Aston Martin DBR9 GT car. What do we think, Owen? Obviously, Aston Martin colours. He's got that right. He's got that right, and these are colours that Jamie knows very well indeed. I hated them when he used them back in the day in Season 2, but it's good to see him back in them now. Will he rekindle some of that Season 2 success as he comes to the line? He's only gone 3rd fastest. He'll be disappointed with that. And here's one for me then. It's the 2022, so from this year, when Daniel Kivat, he's on a free race contract in NASCAR then. And that is, let me get the correct name for this, it's the Hezerberg car, and this particular one was driven at Watkins Glen, where Daniel Kivat finished 36th out of 40 drivers that day. Tonight driven by Ben Shaw, who's yet to be on pole this season, Owen Wyatt. Not going his way, but he does have one win. He is already in the playoffs. Can he finally stick it back on pole tonight? Very weird colours to see him running, but that's the point of football. Let's see these guys something a bit different as he heads through Variante Alta. I'm surprised they aren't going more aggressive through there, but I suppose when you only have one attempt, you've got to make sure you actually get it to the line and keep it valid. But now only 2 corners to go. Don't get too greedy on the throttle, and as you head out of the exit, he's got a 1 minute 15.952 to beat. Iceman, can he finally get back on pole? Still not gonna happen. Not 0.9 off the pace. And well, here's a car that's been on pole position before, the 2014 Williams. Wow. And that is near enough perfection.
I think this might be my favourite. Look at how cool that is. But can he stick it on pole position? Will he do what Felipe Massa did at the 2014 Austrian Grand Prix? Casper, who's having a superb season so far. Casper, who was on pole last week, who won last week, 15.9 to beat. He doesn't manage it. What a qualifying 0.009 between the top three. And it's Redmat, who's on pole position in what must be our closest qualifying ever. I can't believe it's that close. That is unbelievable.
That's unreal, isn't it? Red Matt taking his 11th career pole then, but only just. You don't even have time to blink the gap between the top three. Maybe even the top four. Jamie Griffiths, what a qualifying. And it all looks so good for Leroy, and then the big boys come out to play, didn't they? But P6 for Leroy is not a bad place to start when you've only got one stop to make. We don't know, Owen, if it's going to be raining in the race, but certainly dry qualifying that delivered, and some brilliant looking cars. Casper, I think, topping it off very nicely indeed.
Yeah, but the thing is, I said it first, so you've got to pick something else, because that is absolutely the best livery out there tonight. That is incredible. That is uncanny, that thing. But look at this. Look at this.
Pete or OKK at the moment, but look at that.
Look at this for a grid. Red Mat on pole from Casper, Iceman and Jamie Griffiths. 0.039 between the four of them. That's incredible. Then we have Jimmy Wright, and then Leroy, our Joker driver, then Regman, MK Bourne, Corey, Jordan, Ben, Gareth, OKK, Jess, Yuri, Risky, Pete, Deck, and Tease. And that is the grid for this evening. And I absolutely cannot wait for this race. It's throwback week, man, and it's already started off with one of the closest qualifyings I've ever seen.
Amazing. Imola delivers, doesn't it?
It just does, doesn't it? We love this track on this game.
We love it. I think it's very much secure in its place for next season as well, as I've started to make the calendar very quickly, actually, before I forget, Owen, because it's going to happen. Stage points tonight, they are lap 8 and lap 16. You have one Joker, and that's Leroy, and what is it, I think 33 laps around here. I'm very much looking forward to it. Iceman won the inaugural race here last season, but JACKOCAR always delivers. Will we get a new winner? Will we get a repeat winner? Will we get some wet weather even? The clouds don't appear to be in the sky at the moment, but we're very much looking forward to this one.
And no formation lap again, so we'll be going straight into the action as we, wait for everyone to sort of get ready. It always takes a lot longer than we expect it to, this. So what we'll do while we're waiting is I'll remind you of how the championships look. We haven't really done that so far. Casper, I mentioned he won last week. He became the first driver this season to win 2 races. So obviously he is advanced to the playoffs. The other 4 advanced are Ben, Jamie, other Jamie, and Jake. And then behind that, Christian Ataro having a fantastic season so far. Behind him, Garth, mentioned him, Kieran, Jordan, and OKK. So those would be the 10 who are in so far. But we've got to say, likes of Ben Howard, Jess out there, Yuri, Pete, MK Bourne, Leroy and Connor, all still within a shout. It's actually going to be very close in there. And after 6 rounds, for it only be sort of 19 points between the the cut-off point for 7 of those drivers who can still break in. We're going to have some very competitive stuff happening towards the end of this season, or the end of this first part of the season.
Absolutely. It was until Casper's repeat win last season. We've got 20 seconds to go, by the way. Last week, Casper, we were looking at our most competitive season ever. But of course, we've had 5 winners from the opening 6 rounds. It's still not bad. We could get 6 from 7. And it genuinely, I say it all the time, but genuinely, this season, anybody can win a race.
Well, let's see if Red Matt can convert from pole position. We've got 5 red lights here in Throwback Week. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing in Imola. And it's a very good start from Redmat. He's going to get himself away. But let's see, 3 wide behind. Into the grass goes Jimmy Wright. And they're going to stay 3 wide as we head towards turn 1, the Tambural chicane. Who's going to be brave on the brakes there is Jamie. Moves up into 3rd place. Pushes the other Jamie wide down into 5th. And still more side-bys happening behind. The front 2 have gone way off into the distance.
Yep, and I saw Jamie Wright making his way through, making himself known to Iceman that he was there. Actually put Iceman wide at turn 2 and allowed Jamie Griffiths to sneak up the inside into 4th. And we've got, who's that, Casper, giving the position to Jamie to go and hunt down Red Matter. That's very interesting. Maybe Casper happy with his current position in the playoffs, or maybe looking to defend from Jamie Griffiths, who he could see as a threat. Back to you, Owen.
I'm wondering if there was a mistake there from Casper, because that's a very weird thing to do on lap 1, because they're both through into the playoffs, unless they're trying to block someone off, but I don't know who they would be blocking off, so I'm very confused as to what's happened there. Maybe there has been a mistake, but we'll see if anything comes out later on. There was a brief yellow flag, I'm not entirely sure what for, but everyone is still running, as we see, change for position, and we've got Ben Spurs, and we've got Rageman fighting away there for 7th place. And as we head to the end of lap 1, it is a 1.5 second lead for Redmat, although he is into the pits, as is quite a lot of the rest of the field. Of course, Leroy stays out, Iceman as well, but Leroy on his Joker then already has a full pit stop on the rest of the field, so that's the advantage of the Joker there for you. As we see side by side, MK Bourne right running outside of Rageman, and all those curbs, it's very risky to make that work, but he's done it, and now he's going to see Gareth trying to make his way through as well, and Rageman, he's been bullied a lot on these first few moments of this race as he loses another position.
Yep, Rageman in his spin up behind, it's Corey.
Hopefully they can all avoid him. Oh no, Jess loses her front wing. That could bring a safety car out with the debris on the middle of the racing line, and with Corey still off the road. But it looks like we might get away with it. Hopefully that'll despawn, but it does mean that Jess definitely has damage. Corey possibly has minor damage.
Corey seems to be fine from the off-board shots, but I should say the damage that you can't see is always a factor. I was going to say Rageman in his second JACKOCAR start in the Cup Series, very much getting the initiation from Gareth and co then as they barged their way past. MK Bourne as well involved, OKK through on Rageman as well.
Definitely was getting an education there on how to be aggressive in JACKOCAR, but Iceman then, he's on the medium compound tyres if you're wondering why he didn't pit. The rest, I'm expecting to get that first stop out of the way, but we have a few, MK Bourne, OKK, Rageman, Tease and Pete all staying out still. The rest of them, and Corey as well, but the rest of them, are on hards or mediums or whatever, so the top 7, top 8 still yet to pit, but I'm expecting that to happen relatively soon. And look at this, they're in the pits again, Jamie and Jamie, so they're finishing their pit stop strategies right now. That's very interesting.
That is very interesting. Do they know something we don't? Is the hard tyre?
If I'm Leroy, I'm looking at if I'm Leroy, I'm looking at this, I'm pitting ASAP to get my pit stops out of the way, because they're putting themselves in a fantastic position for if we get a safety car later on, because they can just go back onto their mediums and they should be able to last. So interesting strategy this.
I wonder if he even knows that's happening behind him, because of course it's the ART boys that are doing this, and of course if Leroy puts himself in a position where he commits to the one stop, or he's going to be very at risk later on, isn't he?
Yeah.
As he starts to fall away from Iceman, who now leads his 3rd lap. I think Iceman might be going for stages looking at that, because he's off strategy to the rest.
Ooh, MK Bourne speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunate for him. And, well, how many are still going to stay out then? We have only the 3 runners on the softs as of right now. Corey might make that 4. And then the 2 on the mediums is running outside. In turn 1 tries. Pete on Tees, and Tees is going to spin again. We saw that last week in Spain, but luckily no wall to crash into this time. Although Corey will be coming up on him soon. So look out for fireworks between those two, as the yellow flag should clear momentarily. And Tees is just going to make sure he doesn't spin again with those overheated rear tyres. But it's Pete Froome at the top 4 then, nice and comfortably.
Corey looking to get back into rhythm after that spin earlier. There's lots of damage on his side pod, you can see that on some of the shots. I wonder how hard Tees will defend. Has he got his tyres back down to temperature? Corey's car's an absolute mess, by the way. I don't know if you're seeing this.
I can't actually see much of that. I'll take your word for it, though.
His right-hand side is just absolutely beat to pieces.
Yellow flag. That looks like it's for Jamie Griffiths, and it is. On those hard compound tyres, struggling to find the grip on them then. And that's a driver who finished his pit stop strategy, falling way behind Jamie Wright then as a result, as Corey does get himself past Tees. Although, of course, Tees in the Gulf Colors will find himself in the DRS zone and may be able to fight back. And let's say that might be where Farah's come into play. But the there could be a safety car for the debris. I always mention it because that is what happens in this game. But that'll be a new front wing for Tees, surely.
I wonder as well if he's affected Corey's rear wing with that.
Yeah, that could.
Quite the hit, wasn't it?
I've had it happen to me before where I've been hit on the back on the way into the pits, and it ruins your diffuser. Yeah. And it gives you very little grip out of the corner exit, so keep your eye out on that for Corey. If you see him facing the wrong way, that might be a reason why. So, only 4 drivers then yet to make a pit stop, by the way. That is the top 4.
Yep, Corey and Tez, the only 2 drivers coming into this race with 0 points. Out of those that are full-time, of course, we had the likes of Deck, who hasn't scored a point, and Red Matt last week, he started P2 and then did not finish the race. But full-timers, Corey and Tez looking for their first points of the season, and as you rightfully say, Owen, Pete, Rageman, Leroy and Iceman yet to make their first stops, but like I say, Iceman I'm sure is going for the stages, and Leroy, he will most undoubtedly be thinking about his Joker.
I've got to say, I'm watching OKK from the overhead there. It was a brilliant shot. That car really is a stunner. Like, if it wasn't for Casper's being up there, that one would be a solid second for me. That looks incredible, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said in the after qualifying, between Pete and OKK tonight after Casper.
No, we're going to see any overtaking perhaps for OKK. There wasn't a reason I was watching this because he was in a DRS range of Ben Spurs, although he has got a lot less ERS than the Renault liveried car in front of him, so maybe a while before we see an overtake between those two. But yeah, maybe sooner than I thought with that big slide on the exit for Ben, and that makes it a lot easier than OKK was expecting. Oh, his ego's off as well. These two are playing chicken with each other here. And, it's costing them both time, but they just can't keep it on the island, those two. And that's going to let the likes of Gareth and Pete into the mix as well. As another car off, that looks like Yuri. Didn't hit anything, I don't think. So he may well get away with that, although look at how difficult it is to get back on track. And those tyres will be absolutely crying for enough there, because that's going to be a frustrating one there for Yuri. Just got to take it easy for the next few corners. Don't want to lose it again.
And he will know that as well. Yuri, the winner from Tuesday night in Kia Series at Zandvoort, booking himself a ticket to the playoffs once again. Of course, season 3 champion is Yuri in the Kia Series.
Yeah, reigning champion.
Easy to forget that over here in Cup. Race winner in Cup Series as well.
Still, as far as I'm aware, the only driver in the league's history to win both races in a week.
Yes, that is correct.
He had quite a successful run last season. He somehow has gone under the radar slightly, despite the fact he won the title and everything, but well. We've reminded everyone now, at least. Now, I'm just looking here. We've got Casper in the DRS range of Red Map. This is still the fight for the lead of the guys who've won stopped so far. That makes sense, because they were the leaders of the race in the early phase. As we have a yellow flag behind. Is that for MK
Mike
Bourne?
Yeah,
he
MK
already
Bourne
has 8 seconds worth of penalties, and now a spin as well. His race somewhat falling apart. And Deck on the back. Can he try and get himself through as well?
Maybe by using Connor's livery, he's getting Connor's luck. That's the only thing I can think of, although MK Bourne coming into this with 3 DNFs this season. Connor on 4 and a ban. Mike is really struggling.
I want to go back to Casper then, because like I say, this could be a very important overtake if he can make it happen. These guys on hard compound tyres, so they'll be going deep into the race. It's about how hard they want to fight it, but it was a fantastic exit at the final corner from Redmat. He does have a lot of ERS, so I wonder if he was just using some of it there to stop Casper from closing up. As we have a yellow flag for Pete, facing the wrong way and trying to get himself back round. We're lucky these guys aren't crashing, and wrecking strategies by causing safety cars. because right now we're seeing a lot of fascinating strategies happening, but a lot of mistakes. This could really throw this whole thing up in the air, as T's all over the back of Jamie. Look at this. He's heading towards turn 1. Can he get himself through? Jamie will certainly not be looking to let that happen. Round 2. They did this last time in Spain, and wheel to wheel once again. They both have each other off the road. And T's, how aggressive was that?
That was very aggressive. I think he might have been ever so slightly over the line there, but Jamie needs to get his head down. He's got his 2 stops done. So he'll come into play towards the end of the race. I was just looking to go into Casper and Red Matt. You remember last season these two were fighting for the win. They did a very similar Tease and Jamie move and ended up giving the room for Iceman to slip through and win the race. It's round 2 for those guys.
Yeah, it could be. Roles reversed then, because, I mean, Jamie lost a good 3, 4, 5 seconds in that incident. Meanwhile, Casper is sitting there enjoying the DRS of the man in front of him. So, that's another thing going Leroy's way as well, of course. With the main 2-stopper, both of the main 2-stoppers having issues. So that's very interesting situation indeed, and I really am fascinated to see how this is all going to pan out in the end.
And another thing as well, we've not had time to touch upon it, is Iceman did pick up the stage 1 win, so that's another playoff point to him. In fact, that rules out the penalty point that he got for a collision the other day. So he's now back to, I can tell you actually, Iceman now sits on 14 credited playoff points, but only 13 will go to the postseason with him.
As Casper goes off the road at Aqua Minerale and nearly loses it on the exit, that's going to cost him a lot of time. He had started to close into under half a second on Red Matt, but that is certainly going to hold him back a little bit. As he loses it again. Those hard compound tyres, they're starting to struggle. That surprises me. He's out of DRS now.
And you look at Iceman's mediums and Leroy's mediums, and they don't seem to be having a problem. I mean, Iceman has built a gap. Arguably, you could say he's the faster of the 2 drivers. But the mediums, they appear to be fine for the no-stoppers so far.
And speaking of medium runners, here is OKK, who is on the back of Ben Spurs. Can he find his way through? He's on the DRS. He should have a good opportunity of getting through. And as he heads through, pulls to the right-hand side and moves himself up into 6th place. Behind Rageman, he's quietly, after that slightly chaotic start, he's sitting 3rd of the 1-stoppers so far. So he's having a very good run of it.
Yeah. Rageman, of course, coming up from Kia Series. He had his initiation, didn't he, earlier on, but settled in very nicely. Then again, a lot of drivers have made mistakes, but those that haven't made mistakes, I'm talking from OKK, Ben Harrett, Gareth, those 3, they are behind him on track. So Rageman has actually pulled a blinder here. But then again, he also had a very good qualifying, didn't he?
He did, yeah. But he's making it all work.
Off. I think it's Pete off.
Yeah, recovering back onto the road. His 2nd time off in this race. He'll be looking for a safety car later on to try and get him back in the running. As long as he's not the one who causes it, of course. But, dear, Pete. I'm more looking actually at Jamie, because I noticed that Jess was in his DRS and looking to try and find a way through. Either that was Jamie passing Jess, but either way, they're quite close to each other on track. Still 10 seconds back from Jamie Wright, despite Jamie Wright's issues. So that tells you how much Jamie's mistake earlier on in the race has cost him. He'll also sort of be looking for a safety car, but at the same time, it doesn't want it to happen too soon, because I imagine these two will have the plan of going on to a new set of mediums or softs or something later on in the event of a safety car, and that's why they're getting their 2 stops out of the way now. So those 2 will be ones that will be playing the long game more likely. As we see MK Bourne recovering from his mistake, getting himself back past Gareth into P8 once again. And Casper, by the way, well into the DRS range again of Red Matt 2. And saving a bit of BRS now.
Also, Red Matt has just broke under 20 seconds for the first time, the gap to Leroy. Dare I say Iceman, actually. I think I'm looking at the wrong numbers, but yeah. Red Matt is actually on a bit of a charge here. He is taking Casper with him, although Casper keeps spinning the rears. They are staying together, at least on track. Lock up from Red Matt into the chicane, but gets away with it.
Feels like Casper's almost looking for an undercut at this point, because I'm wondering if he's not going to be able to pass on track. He seems to be really struggling for the grip, and that surprises me, because we saw how good he was last week when under the pressure trying to get himself back into the lead again. But here, it seems just a bit different for him. He doesn't look as comfortable as he did. You know, because he was at the back of the grid twice in Spain and still came through to win. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how this actually ends up going for him in the end, if he can stop spinning those rears up. Now on the main straight, we've got a pretty fun fight between OKK, Ben, MK Born and Gareth, and looks like we're going to see another overtake in that train as Ben gets himself back alongside, back ahead of OKK into turn 1, and the rest just following behind. Don't want to risk having an accident at this early stage of the race, but a fun fight to watch, this one. I'll be interested to see how they keep going. OKK and Ben, again, looking at them up there, those two have been some of the drivers who've been giving us some of the better performances this season from underdogs. And yeah, once again, leading a train, a fight for, at the moment, 6th position. And Casper, well, look how close he is now. This might be the opportunity he's been waiting for. Although he looks like he's almost cruising into the chicane. He feels like he's, you know, not giving it his everything, but even then, still spinning those rears up.
Yeah, I tell you what though, I just
look at him backing off. Look at him backing off. I think he's just happy to sit back, you know, Jacko.
Maybe. We'll see though, as we'll get the DRS and he'll be a lot closer this time. But that car looks so like the Martini Williams, doesn't it?
It does. It's
the
almost
more you
scary.
look at it, the more you see it. Yeah. Codemasters have actually come up with a good livery design, and Casper has used it to full effect here. Tez gets a penalty. Through turns 1 and 2 go Redman and Casper, and out of Tamburello they go.
And we see OKK thinking about it, and MK Born not thinking about it, and off the road goes OKK. Be careful not to collect MK Born to come back on, but MK Born loses it anyway, and will fall right down the field. And Jordan, be careful, he may have been collected nearly there, and Deck a little bit closer to Jordan as a result of it. But MK Born, another off in this race. Wonder when we're going to actually get the first accident though. They're doing quite well to have not managed it so far. That would bring out a safety car anyway. Still all 19 drivers in the race as Jess gets overtaken by Pete for P17 just. And Leroy making his pit stop. So now if we get a safety car, he's got nothing to worry about.
And we're at a stage in the race as well where he could really rely on the tyres to fire up on a restart as well, if we were to get a safety car. Where will he come out? I think it's going to slot in behind Casper.
It should be some free air though, shouldn't it?
Ahead of Rageman, yes, it will be.
Although it is a long way to the pit speed limiter line, so let's just make sure.
He is clear.
He is good.
As long as he can get them heated up nicely.
Oh, okay.
He'll have no problems with Rageman behind.
Okay, they're spinning into the pit lane a little bit. That's going to wreck his fight later on potentially. Now Rageman will get to close in on Leroy, because of course Leroy's on such cold tyres. So Leroy's just got to stay calm. Don't get too flustered by this situation.
He can even let him go. You know, it won't be too much of a problem if he were to let him go.
Yeah.
But obviously you'd much rather keep them behind, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but yeah, just don't risk too much now, because I might catch you out later on. But Rageman staying close. If he has a try, he'll have a try. But you'd hope those two will have some sense and not mess each other up, as we have yellow flags on the main straight. I wonder what that's possibly for. Don't see anything happening there, but no. Yeah, we're all still running. Now I wonder if Iceman is gonna get both of the stage points and then pit. I imagine that's his plan.
Now, wouldn't you? Iceman's actually making his way through the field here, isn't he? Like, yeah. He's lapping really well. Risky's going to let him go.
Tease is off. And Jimmy had been catching up on him, but unfortunately, he's found himself off the road for the second time in this race. Will he be collected? A few cars behind him. Doesn't quite know where they're going. They were Jamie and OKK coming through.
Sensibly stay to the right, and Jamie Griffiths goes wide there. Tease goes straight back through. Ben Spurs pits, by the way.
And back up at the front. Hold on. Let's just see these two first, just in case there's any sort of incident. And there is a little bit of contact. Somehow they've both managed to correct it. That could have easily been a lot more dramatic. And Tease into the pits. Yeah. Oh, he's flooring it in as well. I hope he's not about to retire. Oh well. Well,
that looks awfully intentional, doesn't it?
Does a bit, doesn't it? We sort of caught that on board.
For Tease.
And here comes MK Board coming through on Jess. Nice and easy there. And, well, let's see Casper then. He's been saving his ERS. I'm wondering if this is why he's been backing off so much, just so he can confirm that when he actually goes to the move, he can definitely, easily get it done. And he's into the pits, going for the undercut then. That'll be where he uses that ERS as well, on the outlap, of course. And a very good place to use it as well. And he'll stick on that new set of medium compound tyres. And, well, we're expecting him to... Well, will he be in front of Jamie Wright? I would have thought he'd be a good distance in front of him, thanks to Jamie Wright's issues. And so this should be the top 2 stopper. But let's just make sure. For anyone keeping score, KK now is the second highest, but Ben, without the penalty, would actually make him net second highest as it stands, but Casper will obviously drop them down to third. So Ben, quietly, is having a very good run at this as well. And Jamie is miles behind.
Yeah. Oh, Jordan's got into the wall, he's out!
Safety car potential.
That's got to be a safety car.
And Iceman will be praying he can pit, but it's not. He's not going to get to, and he knows it. Safety car deployed. Oh, he was so close, though. He was so close.
The stage point, no.
So close to the pit lane. And I tell you what, Leroy. Oh boy, aren't you glad you pitted when you did? Only 2 laps on the tyres. He'll be very happy with that indeed. And Casper as well, he'll be loving that because it just means he's got red mat out of the way. Nothing to worry about there.
And looking back to Iceman as well, okay, he may have 2 stops to do, but in the long game, think of it in the postseason, he has led all 16 laps so far. If he leads 1 more, he'll get the most laps led playoff point. He's got both stages. He'll probably end up going for fastest lap as well, so he's going to collect 4 playoff points, or most likely 4 playoff points from tonight. Think of that going into the postseason. So it is, this race may be lost on him, but I don't think it's the end of Iceman's season by any means. He only has to lead 1 more lap, and he is looking good for Japan onwards.
Gotta say, the clouds are looking a bit dark out there, aren't they, Jacko? But judging by how people have been going about their pit strategies, I'd be surprised that there's rain on the horizon, but it's not unusual for this track. But it is starting to get dark. It is definitely getting dark.
It is very dark, isn't it?
We'll keep our eye on all that.
It is something we mentioned at the end of qualifying. We might get rain, but there was no mention of it in chat. We normally get that. Not today. Maybe Jeff, or sorry, Mark Priestley has got it wrong for a change. As he often does.
I miss Jeff.
I do his comedic northern voice.
Yeah.
So what will Iceman do? I would say he has to stay out just to confirm the playoff point.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out as well that OKK there is pitted for a new set of softs. Do you think he can get those to the end? He wanted to get rid of that 5-second penalty he had. And I wonder if that could be an interesting play for later on, because he has finished his pit stop strategy. So this leaves him on a decent set of tyres, you know. So that could be a good play for later on. We'll keep our eye on that, because we know how quick he's been this season. Even in the likes of Silverstone, he nearly won the race on a slower set of tyres. So what will he do on a properly fresh set? And how many others will copy what he's doing and make that pit stop? Let's just actually see where we are on the pit stops, because there's a load out there who've done their 2 stops, but the ones who are actually good, can we tell us who those are as Jamie Wright pits again?
It's everyone but Iceman.
Everyone but Iceman. So all of those pit stops are all mandatory then?
I'm just reviewing it.
Apart from Red Mat, because Red Mat's second, we know that isn't mandatory. So yeah, we'll just get numbers on that one because it's hard to keep a track of it. And I must say, by the way, I don't know if lap cars are going to get let through. We saw it happen last week, but Iceman has got a massive advantage because he's got 4 lapped cars in between himself and Leroy on the restart. Even if those 4 all move out of the way, you know, they're still not going to end up giving Leroy much of a chance unless they pit out of the way or something. So it should be a pretty easy restart for Iceman, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon because there's a lot of field spread still out there. But that is...
Just confirming, Pete, by the way, was the one in question. but his second stop was just about mandatory. Only just. So the only non-mandatory stops we've had are OKK and J-Luke.
And not Red Matt? Because Red Matt's sitting on there on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see that one. Red Matt is a non-mandatory.
Right then.
It's very hard to keep up with.
It is, yeah. It is hard. And we've got Jamie Griffiths doing it as well. So I think a few more are catching on to what OKK was doing by putting on a new set of tyres. Because you've got nothing really to lose once you've done your mandatory stops. You might as well stick some newer tyres on and get them to the end of the race. The difference with OKK is that he's on softs. And so he may have another advantage, but the problem is actually he's so far behind the pack. He's taking life out of those tyres. He could well set a fastest lap under safety car. That's not unheard of. But I think he's going to finally have to slow down a little bit now. Now, who all pitted, by the way? Now, because I'm just... Leroy's now a little bit closer to the lead. But,
I've got it for you. So all the non-mandatory stops were OKK, J-Luke, Red Matt, Jamie Griffiths, Risky, Pete and Gareth.
Alright then, so we'll...
Does that help?
Well, it helps a little bit, yes. But guaranteed, we'll probably end up asking that question again later on. As long as you have it in your hand and you know what you're on about, then I'm happy enough.
I know enough to get us by, don't worry.
Now, will we get a safety car restart at the end of this lap? That's what I'm wondering, because the field is effectively caught up now, and yes, we are going to get a restart. So, Iceman, let us say, pretty much the easiest restart you can ask for here, because he's got the cushion of a few cars. Although I'm seeing Pete moving out of people's way. Like, Pete's moved right to the back of the grid. So he's doing, you know, the honourable thing, while... Yeah, who is it? Jess and MK Born sort of aren't. But you're not meant to, I suppose.
Well,
not until we
Jess
actually
and
restart.
MK Born, they are obliged to get out the way on a restart. So they will have to pit here. Let's see what happens.
Restart zone coming up. Look out for the throttle. And Iceman's away. Like I say, it's pretty easy for him. And, well, NK Born hasn't really played ball there, has he? No, Casper and Deck are side by side straight away. And Casper into P5. Gareth as well, trying to fight alongside. He's onto the grass on the way through, but late on the brakes into turn 1. Deck stays ahead. A lot of side by side though. Further back, and round goes Yuri. He's going to be into the gravel trap once again today. Struggling out there. And it looks like Red Matt on those new softs has made a mistake, actually. He was ahead briefly of Rageman, but now falling back. He's got he's got Deck alongside him. Casper has overtaken Red Matt. So Red Matt's day going from bad to worse, because remember, he still has another mandatory stop to make, while Casper has got that done. And so Casper can get himself down the road. He's chasing after Leroy. That is the fight for the win as it stands.
Yeah, I was just looking at Gareth as well. He's not too far behind Red Matt as he looks to drop Deck, who has to make another stop, but don't forget, so he's out of position at the moment. But Corey and Ben Harrett and Jamie Griffiths and Jamie right behind, and OKK in that train, they are all good to the end. And will they go to the end? That's the thing. Will we get another safety car? Will we get rain? Maybe not, because the skies are starting to brighten up, Owen.
Side by side again, Red Matt, and he's going to get tied
again!
Both of them!
2 seasons in a row!
I can't believe it's happened again.
Same corner.
Incredible drama. Iceman, yeah, into the pit lane, making his mandatory first stop. And now look at this, we're seeing more side by side, multiple fights happening here as Deck fights off Ben, and we see Jamie trying to get around the outside of Corey. That was never going to happen between those two, though. With the amount of aggression that Corey will give, he'll never let that one happen to him, as he now tries to fight his way past Ben and nearly gets collected by Jamie, who's super late on the brakes. And off
Jamie
the road.
Griffiths.
Is he going to hit anything? Not quite, but down the inside goes Corey on Ben Harrett. He's going to make contact with another car today, but doesn't make himself big enough to get through. He knows though he's got to be quick, because Jamie Wright, the 2-time champion, all over the back of him now.
So I'm enjoying this, Owen. I think you were trying to pass to me for a bit of commentary, but I was just watching in awe along with everyone at home. Leroy has found himself 2 seconds ahead of Rageman, who has to pit again. Gareth has to pit again, so does Deck. Ben Harrett is next on track, who's good to the end. Wow. So Leroy has a near on 10-second lead. What a day this could be for him, for the Dutchman. Leroy what a story it would be as well.
No, look at this. Deck is under so much pressure as he comes out of the final corner. It's been so long since he's been up at the front of a JACKOCAR race. But he's fighting the pressure off for now as Pete makes another error in this race, falling behind even further. Now, DRS is enabled, but you will not get it until actually the start of the next lap because the detection zone is right at the end of this one. So Deck will survive for now, but risky there, getting a 5-second penalty for ignoring the blue flags. Well, I would have thought we'd be better at that by now, but oh well.
Ben Harrett, I wonder if he can sniff a win here, maybe.
I reckon
because
he can sniff a win.
All over the back of Deck, and it only takes one mistake from Leroy. Oh, he's been spanned by Corey! Unbelievable!
And there's more chaos. There's more chaos happening. There's cars everywhere, Jacko, and bits of car flying everywhere as well. And that is Corey again crashing into others. Now, did Jamie Wright get through there okay? He did. I thought I saw more bits of front wing flying of other cars, but it maybe was just the 2 cars involved. But man, Ben Harrett, what a shame.
Just as we were talking about him as well, and Corey goes and sends one up the rear.
But I tell you what,
ruins his day.
This helps out Jamie Wright, of course, but it also helps out Okeke, who's been quietly... Oh, he's the one who got damaged. He's the one who picked it up. I thought I saw someone's front wing flying off. It was his. Oh, what a shame. That is for him as well, then.
Gutting for Okeke, who's been on a hell of a run of form recently. All the penalties starting to roll in.
Gareth, wow, straight through. That was so much quicker on the straight. No competition whatsoever.
Gareth still annoyed about Silverstone, a race he could have won. But I'd hope he knows that his second stop, was non-mandatory. He has to do one more. He is faster than Leroy at this present time, though. Iceman sets the fastest lap. I wonder if Gareth will try and put Leroy under some sort of pressure. If he does, it brings everything back into J-Luke's hands, who's all over the back of Deck, who also still needs to pit as they struggle to get out of the hairpin. J-Luke to the inside, but it's not going to make it stick. Deck knows that one all too well. Into the left-hander they go then.
The longer this goes on, the more chance Casper has to catch back up onto this. And Deck, you can see how much slower he is than Jamie Wright. He's struggling for grip out there. And Jamie Wright, he's just got to be patient. Patience will win out here, as Gareth is flying out there. He's already potentially going to be getting the DRS of the race later, so look out for that soon. And Jamie, I imagine he'll just hold off a little bit here to make sure he does get the DRS, but Casper has caught a second in this sector alone, and is also going to get some DRS, so it is heating up here, the fights. As we look at, first of all, Gareth, the fastest man out on track at the moment. He's got the DRS on Leroy.
Here comes Jamie
no way through
to the outside.
Jamie comes through. He's up into 4th place, but the new fastest man on track is on his way to the back of this fight as well. So look out for Casper. He is not finished yet. We saw last week he absolutely has the resilience to come back from despair to win a race in JACKOCAR, and he's on the inside of Deck. He's up ahead of him into the top 5 once more.
He needed that. He needed that. Good move from Casper, the only multiple race winner this season. 6 all-time in the Cup Series. 1 on his debut back in France in season 4. Can he go and get win number 7? Lucky number 7 it would be for Casper.
No, this is where we're going to see Leroy and his ability to handle the pressure in the Cup Series, because this is a fight. He doesn't need to fight that
Casper
desperately.
goes wide. Recovers it back up.
Once again, Acra Minerale being a struggle for him. He really is having a tough time. But look at Jamie Wright going way off the road. He's the man that Leroy has to be thinking about, because he's got to, 1, not bow down to the pressure too much here of Gareth and get himself sucked into a fight. But 2, Jamie is quicker than him because of the tyres. He will catch him. Surely we're going to have those 2 being the main men fighting for the win.
Leroy lets him go.
Leroy doing the sensible thing, and now he'll see his gap to Jamie and to Casper. And that is going to be our fight for the win today. My goodness. In fact, it could even be that Leroy could be fighting his brother by the end of this one as well. He's up there as well as Yuri after all of his trials and tribulations today.
Leroy and Gareth would have been communicating in the party chat that they have, so he would have known about the extra stop. So Leroy helping Gareth out by letting him go there, but he now has 6 seconds to hold on over the next 7 laps for a first time win for Leroy, or will it be a 16th Cup Series win for Jamie Wright? What about Casper? What about Yuri? Ben Harrott finds himself back up to P6, by the way, after his awful lap with his contact with Corey, who actually only sits a couple seconds behind him.
Oh, this is going to be a properly good finish. I cannot wait to see how this one pans out, because Leroy, we know he's had the potential for it, and this is such a big opportunity for him. And you know what? He's doing the smart thing. He's staying in the DRS here of Gareth, and that'll help him out. I'll give him a few extra 10 from the straight, because Jamie is catching by about a second per lap. It is scary, this closing speed. It's over a second on that lap.
I wonder if it's orchestrated. I wonder if Gareth's throwing his race to help out a fellow teammate. Of course, there's no teammates in JACKOCAR. I say it every week. Your friends are where you find them, and right now, Leroy's best friend is ahead of him, giving him the DRS, marching on his way towards a first win. 6 laps to go in Imola.
This is so tense, because we know Jamie's one of the fastest drivers in the Cup Series, and we know that Casper is arguably the fastest driver in the Cup Series. They're two drivers you do not want anywhere near you right now, as we see another one off the road. Who's that? It's Corey. He gets himself back on. He's still on for points today, so he's got to keep this thing on the road. He wants to make T. He's the only driver to not have any points on the board, but he's sure making it difficult for himself out there. And it'll help Rageman to catch up. Rageman, who, depending on how quick he is on these tyres, may be able to gain a good few set of points at the end of this race, due to the pounds of the drivers in front of him. So look out for him at the end of this one as well. He's been driving very well today.
Rageman finished 7th on his debut in Australia. This is his second start, and looks like he's on for another top 10, which would be a great effort from him.
Jacko, look at this. This is so close between Casper and Jamie. And it looks like Jamie is pulling over for him. And we saw this on lap 1, didn't we, with these two? And it's going to happen again this time. Casper, the man in front. The man who's going to chase for a race victory here in Imola. He's got 6 laps to close just under 6 seconds.
It's a hell of an uphill task, isn't it, as we get yellow flags. Risky's out. Surely not a late safety car now. Don't do it to Leroy. It is. It's a safety car at the end.
Oh, you just couldn't write it, could you? A safety car right at the end of this race.
And Casper lets Jamie back through.
Oh, you can't do that under safety car though, can you? He had to go off the road for it to happen. Was it enough to make that happen legally? It looks like it was. But are we going to see any pit stops under the safety car?
Yes, Deck is the first.
Because this will have a load of people putting themselves on new tyres. But the likes of Gareth, he still has that mandatory stop to make. He'll be sitting there thinking, what on earth am I going to do? I'm going to have to orchestrate a restart here. Or is he going to just pit out of their way? What does he do in this situation? Will any of these front guys risk a pit stop? Because we're not going to get many racing laps here at the end of this one.
Not at all. I'm sure Gareth has thrown his race at this point. He's here to help Leroy. Will he, as you say, orchestrate a restart that lets Leroy back through after the timing line? That's key to it. He can't do it beforehand. What will Gareth do? He stays out. Leroy, he knows a Joker win. 10 playoff points await him.
Jamie's in. Jamie's in the pits, and Casper's going to stay out. Casper's going to stay out. Now, surely you'd expect Yuri and Ben and Corey to put new tyres on, wouldn't you? But it's only Ben he's going to do it. Now, has he got a penalty to get rid of? Has he got a penalty to get rid of? I want to quickly check that if I can. Where is it? Can't find penalties. No, he's not. It's just for some new tyres. But do you know what? They'll be very good new tyres. And you'll only lose potentially 1 spot for it. Maybe 2, actually, with Rageman coming through. But Jamie Wright is going to come out in the top 6, just about. Top 7, sorry. So Rageman in front of Jamie. I'm not sure that was on Jamie's plan. He wanted to be the front runner on those softs. But it's going to be Rageman. Could you imagine a Rageman victory in the Andrea Moda car of all machines to win a race in JACKOCAR with? He hasn't got any penalties to worry about, and he'll have by far the best tyres out there. My goodness, could you imagine the scenes? Could you imagine?
It's just never over, is it, in JACKOCAR? This package has delivered once again, and we're going to have maybe 2, 3. We'll have 3 flying laps at the end.
I'd hope we get 3 for a bit of DRS.
Track position. We're going to have track position versus fresh tyres. Iceman still has a... Oh no, Iceman stops at done, sorry. He is going for the fastest lap point. So he's thrown the race, he's thinking playoff points. Jamie's one is interesting, because there are some very fast drivers to get past. It will not be easy. Gareth's race is over. He is P1, but he has a mandatory stop to make.
Yeah.
He's here to help teammate Leroy. Casper on mediums, the faster of the two tyres, but he's been ill-treating his tyres, hasn't he, all throughout this race. Yuri sniffing a second JACKOCAR win as Corey pits.
Helps Rageman even more. Rageman only has the 3 drivers in front of him on so much older tyres. Whereby, if he can get a good restart and get himself away from Jamie Wright, he could be another one for a first-time win today. This is incredible. I cannot believe we're in this situation.
I don't know if we've quite ever had a race like it, have we? Like, on strategy-wise.
I know it's very rare in a JACKOCAR race. The strategies all play out so early in the race because the safety cars have all come in the second half. Normally you get an early one where you get some non-mandatories in early, but it just didn't happen. And so we're in this situation where we really, really do not know what's going to happen. And I tell you what, I'm hoping the field can catch up because I'm looking at them still coming out of the pits, some of them. Will we get a restart at the end of this lap? If we do, it'll give us DRS on the final lap, only to the line, mind you, so it'll actually be a very short burst of it. But it'll give us 3 racing laps at the very least, so I'm hoping we can get that. I think we will.
Oh, strap in, get your breath whilst you can. We are in for another classic. Season 6 has delivered. We've had 5 winners from the opening 6 races. And we've got Leroy, we've got Rageman, Ben Spurs, all in the top 10 sniffing their first win.
Oh, there's light just still
on. Will it be an
on.
experienced driver? Jamie Wright, he's done this before and won from positions like this. He knows JACKOCAR better than anyone. Only last week did he equal Arnaud's all-time points record, so he knows how to get it done. He's a 2-time champion, 3 times for the Championship 5, and 54 top 10 finishes in 74 races. Do not rule out Jamie Wright.
Here we
Safety
go.
car in this lap, it's a late call. What will Gareth do?
That is the latest call I've ever seen, Jacko.
Here we go.
We come up to the line. Gareth, how is he going to play this one? Leroy's pulling alongside. Will they get this right? Look at them all away at the back. They're all going to be pushing for it. How many are going to go for turn 1 here? It's nearly 3 wide for 3rd place, but side by side for the lead. And look at Yuri coming through onto 2nd place. The brothers are 1-2 in this thing, Jacko.
They are, and Yuri's going to protect his brother here. There's a crash behind, and Casper goes.
Oh, can you believe it? The man who won last week in a similar situation to this finds himself at the back now. As Leroy and Yuri 1-2. And Rageman was also involved in incidents. He's falling way down. He's in 7th place. But can Jamie Wright do something about this? He tries right on the side.
Block it, Jamie.
Oh, I can't believe what we're watching, Jacko. This is incredible stuff. Look at Ben Spurs on the back of this as well. Will he get involved as Jamie Wright? All over Gareth, who's doing an incredible job helping the 2 Hasselberger brothers getting themselves
from Ben Howard on Red.
Look at
Rageman's lost out, and don't forget, Gareth still has to make a mandatory stop, but I wonder if he'll just leave it till the end and make sure that one of the Hasliter brothers wins this race. But how will Yuri play this? Will he let his brother get a first win, or will he seek a playoff spot? Leroy will lead lap 30. Gareth pits, right. The Hasliter brothers are on their own.
It's Hasliter 1, it's Hasliter 2. It's Wright in 3rd, but look at Ben Spurs all over the back of him. Does he fancy a move? He has a penalty, but that doesn't stop him from having a fight. Never. And look at Yuri. Yuri slowing right down. Is he going to block for his brother? Yellow flags for Corey off the road, but he's still in the race. So as long as he can get some points today, he'll move up and stay ahead of T's in the championship.
Ben Harrah had a tap from Red Matt coming out of turn 3 as well, but regathered his composure, and Rageman picks up the position left behind by Corey, but his soft tyres haven't played out the way he wanted them to. Yuri, I think, now has opted to defend. Leroy could be on his way. 1 1/3 laps to go for the Dutchman. It'll be a new winner in the Cup Series.
Oh, and Jamie's not got much ERS left, and you can see the weaving from Yuri. It will take an absolute miracle now for Jamie to take the race win here, even on such fresher tyres. He'll only have 1 lap to attack the Hasleder brothers. He's got to get by Yuri quickly. How much ERS has Yuri got? He may even still be able to hold on to second place here. Let's see how he gets on as they head through the final corner.
He's slow through that. He's doing it on purpose.
Leroy on the Joker is leading on the final lap. Is he about to take his first ever JACKOCAR victory? And look at Yuri, he's using his ERS. Can he stay in second place? What a story this will be. He is staying ahead as we head into turn 1 for the last time, and Jamie Wright doing everything in his power, but the Alexander Rossi machine is just holding him off superbly well.
Beautiful driving from Yuri. That is the NASCAR element of JACKOCAR coming into play here, helping his brother. We've never seen a Hasleder 1-2. Jamie up the inside, but spins. Ben Harrett will slip into third. Will he? Red Mask going behind. It's a massive incident.
It's all going off. Ben Harrett, he has a penalty, but he sits third on the road at the moment. And Jamie Wright will get back in front of him, but he's not going to be able to get at Yuri, who has a car gap between himself and Jamie Wright. How important is that going to be in the last few moments of this race? But look at his brother up at the front, Leroy Hasleder. He made his debut here last season. He picked up a podium here. He's going to come here today on the Joker in his 2007 Spiker car that famously led in its debut in Marcus Finkelhock's debut race. Well, here comes Leroy. He's gonna see the checkered flag. It's an incredible Joker victory. What a drive from him. And it's Hasleder 1 and 2. That is one of the greatest things we have seen in JACKOCAR in 6 seasons. Who would have thunk it? Look at the top two's tyres. They're on the hard compound tyres, the oldest tyres out there. You would never, ever have said that would have been the result at the end of this thing. And Iceman, how does he end up in 4th place in the end? Who knows? But that is pure JACKOCAR, and that was absolutely incredible.
Somehow, Iceman will go back to the top of the regular season standings in a race where he still needed to make a mandatory stop so late on. What a drive, what a recovery from him. He'll miss out on the playoff point for third, but I don't think he'll mind too much. That's damage limitation. But Hasleder, I can't say their name. Hasleder 1-2. Leroy from Yuri. Leroy becomes the 25th different winner in the Cup Series after 72 drivers, 10 playoff points, the 10th Joker win in the Cup Series, and it was just quite incredible, wasn't it? What a drive from Leroy.
That is a fully earned win as well. He never looked in doubt right from the start. He had that strategy perfectly managed. Fantastic win. But Yuri just sticking himself up there in second place, I mean, that is just the dream result, isn't it? We've never seen the likes of that in really any sort of league racing, have we? 2 brothers coming through like that and winning, finishing 1-2, and from 6th and 15th on the grid. It was just not a likely scenario. But it's Leroy Hasleder 1 and Yuri Hasleder 2. Incredible. Jamie Wright ends up 3rd place. He'll be disappointed. He should have won the race, realistically. Iceman in 4th place with Jamie 5th, Redmat 6th, Ben 7th, Rageman 8th, Deck 9th, Corey 10th, so he does get some points on the board. OKK 11th, Gar 12th, Casper 13th, Pete 14th, MK Bourne 15th, Jess 16th, and then the retirements of Risky, Jordan and Tees. Of course, there was all the chaos happening on the last lap. The likes of Casper was off. We had, I mean, so many cars crashed, and it's hard to tell actually who all made it through that last lap. It was just absolute chaos.
Nobody retired from it. I think there's lots of damage, but Redmat was the first to spin and apparently the first to recover from it, because he pops up in P6 there.
You can see
Griffiths, another top 5, by the way. Don't let that go unnoticed. Good drive after an awful middle stint on the hard tyres. And so the non-mandatory pit stop saved his race there.
You may have seen in the Twitter chat that Jamie Wright had heavy underbody damage, so he'll take the podium now, and that may have been why he struggled so much to get by Yuri towards the end of that race. But my goodness, what a classic.
Another quick note on Jamie Wright with that points paying finish.
Oh yes, of course.
He becomes the outright all-time points leader, 813, the first to break the 800 club, and is now P1 with most ever points in the Cup Series.
And well, we leave this one today then with 6 different winners in the first 7 races. And well, if you thought that one was crazy, we're going to Bahrain next week. It's never let us down in the Cup Series. It never lets us down in real life. It just is a superb track. Bahrain, Spa, and Austria to complete the first part of this season. And with how unpredictable it's been so far, you really don't want to miss the rest of these races that are certainly going to entertain us right up until the very last lap. So, thank you all very much for watching. Leroy and Yuri, the 1-2. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it.
And just to end the stream, Owen, Leroy, who are you?